The right side, all of you right, please. Go to right. Now one more left, sir.
Over the course of a distinguished career spanning more than 6 decades, he has won numerous accolades, including a Grammy nomination, the Crystal Award by the World Economic Forum, the Sangeet Natak Academy Award, and all 3 Padma Awards. He has performed at venues the world over. Please welcome Ustad Amjad Ali Khan. Before we release the book, I'd like to introduce, I don't know if people have introduced you as this before, the wind beneath Ustadji's wings. Could I please invite on stage his very beautiful wife, Srimati Subbalakshmi Khan. Miss Milli Aishwarya, can you join us back on stage again? And it's now time for me to ask Karan to please release the book. Can we have the book, please? By popular demand, Aman and Ayan Ali Bangash. I'd now like to request Karan to please say a few words and, of course, read an excerpt from the book. And after that, Suhel, I'd like to request you to moderate the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Suchitra. Thank you very much. Thank you for being as gracious as you always are. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to begin by saying what a tremendous honor it is for me to be on this platform with Khan Sahab. Truly a living legend and someone who not only inspires us, but is the pride of our country in every which way. Thank you, sir. Thank you for inviting me and allowing me to do the honors this evening. Good evening, Suhel. It's always a pleasure to be with you on a platform.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you. More about that later.
Platform or likewise?
Both.
Lovely.
Likewise, you are a platform.
Look forward.
It is truly my honor to read an excerpt from the book, which I'm going to do just now. That's why I choose not to sit, because everyone in this book is such a legend that to give them the required respect is truly the need of the moment, the hour, and of course, in general. The chapter I will read is on Begum Akhtar. It was a personal experience that Khan Sahab has shared with us in the book, and I'd like to read an excerpt from there. Begum Sahiba had great regard and admiration for my father. She once told me that she tried to persuade Abba Sahab to record his music. But he was against recordings because he had observed classical music records being played during weddings and private parties while the guests milled about talking, eating, and drinking. Whatever recordings of his are available are from his live radio broadcasts late in his life. None exist of him playing at his prime. Begum Sahiba tried to convince him on many, many occasions, but he stood his ground. The first time I saw Begum Sahiba perform was in Calcutta. She always smiled while she sang. Before I could say adab to her, she promptly said, Khan Sahab, adab. I thought she was making fun of me. Whenever I was in the audience, she would make it a point to seek my permission before she sang in the concert, saying, "Khan Saab, ijazat hai? Khan Saab, may I begin?" I used to feel quite embarrassed by this until I realized that through me, she was honoring and paying her respects to my forefathers. She maintained this warmth and love from the stage on every occasion. Sometime in 1970 or 71, a few years before she passed away, AIR in Kashmir invited both of us to perform at Hari Bhavan. We stayed at the beautiful Oberoi Hotel, now Hotel Lalit. Governor Bhagwan Sahai was the chief guest. It was a packed hall. Being much younger than her, I requested Begum Sahiba to allow me to begin the evening. On hearing this, she touched both her ears and said, "Ye gustakhi main nahi kar sakti hu. I cannot do this." I was really worried about performing after her, but she was adamant. Our exchange went on for some time. When the AIR officials came to invite us, I tried to rush to the stage. But Begum Sahiba caught my hand and ran onto the stage herself, and I was left behind in the wings, watching her. When the curtain was opened, she sat down and began her concert with a smile. Shakur Khan and Ramzan Khan were on the sarangi and tabla, respectively. Backstage, I was listening to her ethereal songs and praying to God Almighty to bless my concert too. She sang 4 ghazals, and every song was so appealing that it left the audience enthralled. During the intermission, before my performance, Governor Sahai came backstage to meet the artists. When it was my turn to perform, to my utter surprise, I saw Begum Sahiba sitting in the audience. To give respect and to honor her gracious and magnanimous gesture, I kept my sarod aside and said that after her singing, I had forgotten all ragas and raginis. I requested her to return to her hotel and rest. She said, "लीजिए, क्या हम आपको सुन नहीं सकते? बिस्मिल्लाह करिए आप. Can I not listen to you? Please begin." This was one of my most cherished memories of Begum Akhtar. This truly seems like a special book, a book for all music lovers, a book for everyone searching for soul, and a book that doesn't only travel and transcend, but also connects so deeply. Thank you again for giving me this opportunity.
Karan, you read so well. You should really consider doing a television show.
And you should consider being invited.
Who does that show? That Johar lad, right?
Yeah, someone there. The nepotistic man.
Okay, we'll come to that later. But I'm so delighted to be here. I've had the privilege and the fortune of knowing Ustad Saab and the family for now almost 20 years. That's a long time. That's about the time that the Congress will take to return to power. And I'm delighted to welcome Milind Deora here. But that for later. But I think what Karan read out today, the passage on Begum Akhtar, reflects a generation that is slowly slipping from our times. A generation where respect was not only stated, it was felt. Where there was a tehzeeb, there was a fitra, but most importantly, there was the appreciation of sharing the other person's greatness. And I think, Ustadji, to your credit, for me personally, this isn't a book. It's a lesson in life. It's very rare that people appreciate others who are greater than themselves. David Ogilvy famously said, if you want to become a company of giants, hire people better than yourself. If you want to become a company of dwarfs, hire people who are inferior. The fact that a master has written on masters, to my mind, has opened vistas for young people and old into the lives that no longer walk the planet. So for that, thank you. And let me begin by asking you the general ubiquitous question. Why these 12 and why not the others?
Before I answer the question, I would like to thank Mr. Karan Johar and Mr. Suhel Seth to be part of this celebration and launching of the book. I would like to address them because in our music world, anybody who achieves something, we call them Ustad and Pandit. I think Pandit Karan Johar and Pandit Suhel Seth. Because I admire Mr. Karan Johar, I have seen films, I have seen his Coffee with Karan, and he's very gifted and he's a pure artist. And same with Mr. Suhel Seth, God has given him that creativity and he has so much energy. On any subject he can talk, and I really admire both of them. Generally, in our field, a disciple only writes on his guru and on his father. And because if he writes on somebody else, maybe his father and guru will not appreciate that. So that has been the tradition of Indian classical music. And that is why there's hardly any books available to read on great masters. But my guru, my father, Ustad Hafiz Ali Khan Sahab, he often said that you must look for the quality in other musicians also. And I'm very fortunate that I could see the magic of these great masters. I still remember going to Jalandhar. There used to be a big festival of classical music, Harbala Festival. Still continues, but not the same way. This was 1964. I was invited, and all these giants, they were there, all these great masters. And so I can't forget them. They were the stars, and because of them, this classical music became famous and popular, not only India, all over the world. People respect our art and culture and music. It was a big list of musicians, but these 12 musicians, because of my personal equation, they were the trendsetters. Today, somebody is following Pandit Ravi Shankar sitar, or somebody is following Ustad Vilayat Khan sitar. So they were the trendsetters, they established a style of sitar playing. And it was a great honor and pleasure that I could think back and could collect my thoughts, because I never practice for language. My world is sound, because through sound I cannot manipulate anything. It's very transparent. But language is difficult for me to understand. But I'm so glad to hear such language of Mr. Suhel Seth and Karan Johar. I really admire both of them.
Thank you. Karan, it's a very interesting insight that Ustadji just gave. And in many ways, the film industry, I hate to use the word Bollywood, the film industry in Bombay, the Hindi film industry, also has a lot of respect and tehzeeb for the seniors. Do you think times are changing? Do you think the respect quotient in many ways is diminishing because there's more proximity, there's more closeness? Where do you see the film industry from where you look at it?
Well, I think that, I have come from a generation that explained and I would say made me respect people in a certain manner. So I think it's the way you show respect has definitely evolved and changed, because the younger generation just show it very differently through their words and through their actions. Whereas when I was a child, I remember my father taking me to a film party, and he said, if I say this is my son, you shake his hand. If I say ye mera beta hai, you touch their feet. So I was just waiting for that cue right through. I was like almost on autopilot.
And what if there was a South Indian?
I don't know. I didn't get so technical then, but I do remember that was the way that you honored when I met Lataji or I met Mr. Bachchan. It was just the way we showed our respect. The generation today does respect the seniors in the fraternity for sure. It's just a different way of showing it. I'm not sure. I get a bit shocked at times when I feel like the generation that is young and new, and they meet some legends very casually. They shake their hands. They have respect in their heart. It's just that we I think have been trained and tuned to kind of meet them in a certain way, which has definitely changed. But I think that, with time, I'm quite amazed with the way the generation operates. Because I think that, it takes a certain ease to not be overtly reverential and respectful. And that's not in my DNA, but it's in theirs. And I think with time, and with the excessive use of social media I think everyone's about themselves and not about others. And we come from a generation that learns to applaud everybody else's work and not just fester within ourselves. And I think that has definitely changed.
So that's a very interesting takeoff point, Ustad ji. He says that a world existed where you applauded the other person. You applauded someone else's craft. You, in many ways, through this book, have done exactly that. You've not only applauded their craft, you've applauded their life, you've applauded their beliefs, their quirks, whatever it may be. Do you believe that in today's world of classical music, in our country, things are changing? And are they changing for the better or for the worse? Or they're just changing because people are evolving? As Karan says, media has never been more intrusive. Media has never been more personal. Today I can get to know your political idiom, your religious belief, your food habits because of what you tweet or what you put on Instagram. So do you believe you're seeing that change even in the world of classical music?
I think from the time television came in our life in India, the traditional arts, they suffered. But gradually, I think every genre, there is a big audience, even for classical music, and there are fusion concerts. So the change is very healthy, I think. But it all depends on the kind of musicians you have in our country or in the world. It all depends. If the music is appealing, people will listen to you, whether you are a European musician or whether you are an Indian musician. But things are changing. There was a time in Calcutta, there used to be 25 music festivals. In every year. A lot of musicians used to live in Calcutta for 2-3 months to attend all the festivals. So that has changed. It's now only Dover Lane left in Calcutta, Maharashtra, South. So, but fortunately, even today, there are sold out shows for classical music, for ghazal, for bhajan, for any kind of music. So change is a very natural factor, and I think we are all ready to face any kind of change.
Karan, I was born and raised in Calcutta, and I remember spending hours, evening after evening, literally at the feet of Satyajit Ray, who would play the piano every evening at 4:30 p.m., Lee Road. That time I was rehearsing for a play called Amadeus. There was a genuine desire to learn. The Adda was at the heart of our lives because it was all about conversation. It was a city which never judged you. It had no prejudices. Sometimes do you believe that with the changing norms, with more urbanization, with more migration, do you think that has kind of altered? Where people can actually have a long conversation discussing Louis Malle or discussing Brando, discussing Kurosawa. Do you think that has literally slipped out of our lives?
I think technology is largely to blame, and it has. You find those conversations very rare that are actually about art and about like artists, and where you can actually stay away from your phone, which has become like a part of your body now. I think it's almost attached like an organ, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I think that we're always so distracted for various reasons. I see people not talking to each other at all anymore. Like you just have visuals of people just sitting across dining tables and even in their homes and just engaged on their mobile telephone. And I think that it's just taken away, just like I think technology has killed romance in general. I think it's also killed conversation. And I think I'm a rare breed, I'm probably a dinosaur, that still wants to talk to people about other things than, their day-to-day obstacles or issues or personal lives or infidelities or whatever. There are so many other things in the world that you'd like to engage with them on, which I think has drastically reduced, and I'm sure you know that. And I think some of us who came from a generation where we did see this, enjoy it. I've been around filmmakers. I've had the pleasure and privilege to actually see Raj Kapoor on set, watch Yash Chopra direct a film, be in a music session with Lakshmikant Pyarelal, and actually had the pleasure of a conversation, even though I was very tiny, with R.D. Burman. And I remember that generation spoke, engaged, shared their work, their experience, their craft. It doesn't happen anymore, not in my fraternity at all. It's all very individual. It's almost artistically selfish. And I think that has never served the purpose of art in a large way. So unfortunately, Suhel, to answer your question, no, I think that whether it's migration or it's technology or it's just a huge sense of self-worth that I think has translated into the lack of, I would say, conversation or sharing, which is what I think you're talking about.
So I'll pick up, and Ustadji, I'll get Karan also to respond to this. At the heart of your belief system, and I know this, is your family. I know the same about Karan. I'm exactly the same. I'm very proud to say that I live with my mother. I see your children, I see your grandchildren, I see your daughter-in-law interwoven into a family that has deep beliefs and has inherent respect. That respect knows no age, it knows no craft, it knows no purpose. Do you believe we're missing some of that? And is that kind of creating an influence, either negative or positive, over the way music is being created? The Gharana was at the heart of legacy building, but is also at the heart of continuity. Has that kind of changed today?
I would like to share one incident of Ustad Amir Khan Sahab. He was called musician's musician. He sang for himself. He never tried to find out what the audience needs, what they want. Once there was a concert at LG of Delhi, the first LG, Mr. A.N. Jha. So A.N. Jha has invited all the governors of India, and it was a very official dinner there. So Mr. Jha spoke to me, he called me personally. He says, you have to perform, and Ustad Amir Khan Sahab will sing also. So he sent his car, a huge big car, Impala, and we all sat in that car, and we were just going towards LG's house. And Khan Sahab, रास्ते में मुझे कह रहे, भाई ये गवर्नर आ रहे हैं, इनको म्यूज़िक की समझ तो है नहीं, तुम भी कम बजाना, मैं भी कम गाऊंगा. तो मैंने कहा, हुजूर मैं तो आपको सुनने जा रहा हूँ, मैं आपके सामने क्या बजाऊंगा. Anyway, finally we reached there, and I finished my concert within half an hour. And there were about 5-6 of us to say, वाह वाह बहुत अच्छे, क्या बात है. It was a spotlight on all of us, and Khan Sahab started singing one rag. Great performance, and we were saying, wah, 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 wah. And it was his style that while singing one rag, he'll suddenly start the second rag. He started second rag. He lost track of time. And the governor is in sign language asking me when he's going to finish. So I say, I don't know, but please take your guest for dinner. I can't stop him. So he kept on singing, and now only Mr. Jha was alone sitting in the audience. All the governors, they went inside. And Khan Sahab was in a great mood. We were saying, wah, 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 bahut achhe, kya baat. He started third rag also. And poor Jha's again asking me what to do. I say, you also go. So Mr. Jha also left, nobody in the audience. Khan Sahab was still singing. And then suddenly, I think somewhere he realized that there's nobody in the audience. And then abruptly he stopped and he just said, "Kya yaar, zyada ho gaya. Aaj maine nahi bada." Kya zyada ho gaya. Mere Khan Sahab bahut maza aa raha tha, bahut acha. So you see, most of the classical musicians, they disconnected themselves with the audience. They didn't realize what they want. But there was another great singer of his time, Ustad Amjad Ali Khan Sahab. He knew the pulse of pub. He never sang too long. He will just finish at the right moment. And both these great singers, they sang for the films also. Ustad Amir Khan Sahab sang your Janak Janak Pail Baje, the title song. And Bade Ghulam Ali Khan Sahab in Mughal Azam, he sang. Even Pandit Bhimsen Joshi sang in the film. So some musicians were recognized more, they were not so much known. But most of them, they dedicated their life to understand what is music, what is lay. And my old forefathers and all of us, we were not allowed to plan our life. Just practice. You surrender yourself to God, surrender yourself to Guru. Don't think about tomorrow. And that was the lifestyle of classical musicians. So everybody practiced and practiced. Somebody was successful, somebody was not successful, but they continued the classical music. And it's almost like entering into a dark tunnel with the hope of sun rays someday. But it's a great pleasure to understand day by day the depth of music. What is music? In our country we say, Swar hi Ishwar hai. The music connects you to God. And whether it's a film song or European song or folk song or any song, it's all based on these 7 notes, Sa Re Ga Ma Pa Dha Ni and Do Re Mi Fa Sol La Ti. But the beauty of our music is not only improvisation. People always talk Indian music means improvisation. But the salient features are the slides and glides. So these slides and glides, I often feel that it's the influence of our Indian culture, the humility, the namaskar or shashtang namaskar, and you were talking about touching the feet. So all this humility, the grace, what we have, that has influenced our Indian classical music. And fortunately, the future is bright because there are so many, in the generation of Aman and Ayan, there are so many talented young musicians. And so I feel very happy and proud to see them progressing, and they're established classical musicians.
Karan, about the family being at the heart of it?
Well, it is, in a sense, your strength. I mean, though I think that so much is talked about in recent times about, this whole family structure, etc. That is an organic part of, it's whether it's dissed, it's criticized or discussed, it's a reality. It's the way it is. I think in my case, it was my father was a producer, and therefore I was introduced to the world of the Indian movies. But I think that the strength that you get from your family is much more than just the creative force that comes with it. It's also because we're in a creative field, and somehow that lends itself to deep levels of insecurity. And I think you just need the power of family to keep you grounded. At my end, it was my father who taught me some ropes, and my mother who makes sure that I'm grounded on a daily level and pretends like every time I'm awarded or honored, she always wants to know why. And it's actually very heartening to have a mother who's not your fan.
She isn't the only one asking the question.
Yeah, I'm sure she isn't, but she's definitely the first one asking the question. And sometimes it's a bit deflating before you're going somewhere to actually have your. But then I realized later that she's doing it very much, to kind of make sure that at no point I let anything get to me. So family suits that purpose within, and I think Suhel, more so, I think in a creative world, I think you need that strength because, as I said, you're far more vulnerable, you're far more insecure, and you're always, I think, seeking either acceptance or you're kind of fighting delusion. And for both situations, you need someone strong to tell you at home.
Ustad Sahab, I want to touch upon, and this will be the last 2 or 3 questions, then we'll open it out for a Q&A. I want to touch upon something that, in Calcutta we were very fastidious about, which is the purity of the craft, the essentials of theatre. Like, we wouldn't regard musicals as theatre, I still don't. We believed that rehearsals were when you were completely ready with the script, with the lines, and then you began the first rehearsal. There was a joy in being pure to the craft. Obviously, times have changed. Karan rightly alluded to the fact that technology is actually shrinking time and matching man's current impatience. Do you believe we lack that purity? And is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't think it's a good thing. The purity is most important. And you see, technology and tradition, they have to be friends. I feel proud to see a human being has created keyboard. A keyboard can produce the sound of violin and flute and sitar and everything. And many musicians have lost job because of keyboard. And thank God the keyboard can't produce sarod till now.
Don't give them an idea.
So I'm waiting to hear sarod from the keyboard. I mean, you feel proud to see the cell phone and the fax machine and keyboard, the achievements of human being. But in our musical science, our 12 notes were realized even 5,000 years before, 5,000 years back. And today, in this time, nobody could create the 13th musical note. Everything, the whole world is connected with these 12 notes. Music has connected the whole world. And we are almost like one close-knit family, whether you sing lok sangeet or film sangeet or ghazal, bhajan, kirtan, anything. The same sound. In 13th century, the Sufi saint, Hazrat Amir Khusro, who created Qawwali, Qawl, Qalbana, he created a style of singing called Tarana. Tarana does not deal with language. Every song has a language, whether ghazal, tumri, dadra, lok sangeet, everything. He created a language of sound. He created a language of syllables, tanatom, tadare, dirdirdani. So as a tribute to Hazrat Amir Khusro, I've been composing many taranas.
This is my penultimate question to Karan, and then one last one to you. You know, there's a very interesting play written by Peter Schaeffer called Amadeus, in which Salieri, who's the court musician, says of himself that I'm the patron saint of mediocrity. And Mozart was this prodigious genius who came and defied all the rules. You, in many ways, have defied the traditional rules of cinema. When you take these risks, and the risks are both financial and reputational, what goes through your mind, and do you at times believe these risks are worth taking?
Well, when I began my career, I didn't take very many risks, actually, because the first two films that I directed and my father produced, the whole idea there was that I was seeking commerce in art. And I think that was pretty much what my intention was, to make sure that my production house, Dharma Productions, could stand tall and gain, that kind of economic strength, which we hadn't before that. It's only in the last decade, and it's ironically after I lost my father, that I grew wings. Somewhere, I think the two are connected. I think his constant emotional surveillance may not have allowed me to take few chances in cinema. But when I take those chances, I make sure that it's done with a certain amount of strategy and intelligence. Like I'm always, and I want to be honest here and say that I never take a risk that is something that I know is going to bite me in a way that I will repent. There's always some kind of padding, and that does dilute the impact of the risk I'm taking. But I do definitely make sure that some of my bases are covered. So I'm not saying that, and I would say that honestly to you, that I'm not saying that any great risk I've taken has actually been really something that I should be afraid of. Barring a few, when I've made films like when I directed in an omnibus endeavor, where I directed a film in Bombay Talkies, which treaded upon homosexuality and how it is sometimes hidden because of society pressures and social pressures. And I did take that chance because I was making a different kind of film. And then there are other things that one in life one talks about or seeks through modes of entertainment. Today I feel there's a lot more abandon, and I feel there's a lot more freedom that I exercise where it comes to my work. And to answer your question, what am I thinking? I've stopped thinking a lot. I think that's what one has started doing, is not thinking of ramifications, repercussions, or worrying what others say. Because there's really a saying in a Hindi song that says, "Kuch to log kahenge, logo ka kaam hai kehna." So I think you have to basically just become deaf to many, many words, because today opinions are available at every counter of life. You know, wherever you go, you wake up in the morning to opinions, you sleep and you're reading people's opinions. People have a lot of time in the world to give you their opinion. It's what you choose to take and what you choose not to. And I think I've decided that you can call it a really good midlife crisis. I'm 44 and I don't listen to people anymore.
44?
Yeah.
I thought you looked younger. Anyway, last question to both of you.
Thank you.
And
You
this
said
is-
something polite to me, Suhel. I'm very honored. I thought you were saying you're 44. You don't look 44, but you used to.
No. See, I don't believe in the politics of hatred. I believe affection has a much more charming virtue.
I have 3 words to ask. Who are you?
Kangana.
Really? Then I'm going to run out of here.
Okay, Ustadji and Karan, this is a very important question. Last year, published data told us there were 4 PhD scholars in Sanskrit in India. All 4 were Germans. The flip side of this is that our culture, there are more Indians living abroad who can recite the Gayatri Mantra. There are more people who visit temples and mosques, people of Asian origin, when they're overseas. Do you believe in many ways the diaspora is more a cultural anchor of the past? I believe there are more and more classical music concerts, Indian classical music concerts, which draw huge audiences abroad. Do you believe that the diaspora today is playing a much more befitting, more important cultural custodian role?
Yes, I think they are playing a very important role. But I feel very sad to see whether they are diasporas or Indian educated people, that people still going on building temples and mosques. How can a PhD be radical? This is what I feel very sad. That some diasporas, they are emotionally, they feel connected with our culture and tradition and everything. But even NRIs, they are, some of them are very radicals. They are highly educated. So this I feel very sad that education could not create compassion and kindness in a human being. How a PhD be radical? How a PhD be communal? So this is what I feel very sad. It's not in our country, but all over the world. We are suffering on account of this hatred towards each other. And my father not only taught me music, but he always tried to convey the message that all of us have a common God and we are the common race. सारी दुनिया का एक रब है, हम एक तरह से आते हैं, एक ही तरह से जाते हैं. There's no room for second God also. But I feel sad to see what is happening, the change all over the world. I wouldn't say only in my country, but all over the world. So there has to be, we respect NRIs. They invite us, and recently I performed in Royal Festival Hall. It was sold out show. So they show a lot of love to our tradition and culture. But how to remove this hatred from our culture, I think.
Well, because you raised such a critical point, I'm deeply involved with the Tata Trusts. And when Swami Vivekananda and Jamshedji Tata were on a ship sailing, Swami Vivekananda didn't ask Jamshedji Tata to invest in a temple. He asked him to create the Indian Institute of Science. Those were men. Today we have people who are self-serving. I also believe that corporate India needs to unshackle itself from some of the stuff that it's doing and actually set up, to my mind, temples of culture which recognize no God except the godliness of craft. And the day that happens, we will get back the India we seem to have lost. And I genuinely believe, as a person who's 54, just 10 years older than you, but not necessarily wiser, that we are at an inflection point of great optimism. At times, this is manufactured outrage. Even our hatred is now manipulated, whether it's manipulated by the media, by politicians, by people. It's manipulated hatred. And the only way we can eliminate this is by going back to three things. Our parents, who give their children unconditional love, by going back to history, which we seem to have kind of displaced, and by understanding that there's a lot more to life than optics and than visual symbols. And I genuinely believe we'll get there. Karan, I want your comments, as I asked Ustad Sahab, on this whole influence of the diaspora.
Well, it's very strong, and I think I do tend to agree with you that I think when you're detached from your roots, you seek them much more. And I think that's one of the reasons why the diaspora is so immensely traditional, far more rooted, far more absorbed by our culture and everything that comes along with it. I was also recently a judge on a music show which was called Dil Hai Hindustani, and it was actually to my surprise on so many occasions that there were people from Russia and Kazakhstan and even America. There were from Canada, people of Canadian origin, Americans who had learnt our music, who had learnt our musical instruments, classical Indian singing, and were coming and performing. And it was just completely surprising to me that I turned around and I saw many young members in the live audience who were seeming completely clueless. And I said that therein lies what you were talking about. That was an amazingly contrary mirror, because here you saw the West, not just the diaspora, the West, organically the authentic West, actually enveloping and embracing Indian culture. And I turned around and saw the generation on their mobile phones disinterested. And I said somewhere there is a very unfortunate irony. And when you do talk about, I think, the diaspora, I also turned to what I was initially accused of making was NRI movies, when people said that with absolutely no logic, because what they don't understand that the diaspora, the NRIs according to them, or the Asians who lived out of their country, are far more traditional than any of us are capable of being. In urban, I'm sure Khan Saab will tell you that his performances outside of India are received with so much love, respect, reverence and admiration, and it's only because they really feel the detachment and therefore seek the attachment. And that comes from, I think, predominantly the big source of culture, which is music.
Yes, with due apologies to the person in UP, ghar ki murgi dal barabar. But we'll come to that later. I want to end this, and it's been a fascinating conversation. To my mind, both these men represent not just a generational shift in age, but the commonality of the respect for the craft, whatever craft that may be, and whatever we may believe in. Karan is a freshly minted parent, and my advice to people has always been, there's only one insulation against hatred, against prejudice, and that's reading. If we can create a society which revisits the scriptures, which revisits thought letters. I was appalled that some people in corporate India stood up and, went for this Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, pledge to humanity move, only if they'd read Manu Smriti, who 3,700 years ago talks about Dhan for the first time. Max Muller in 1862 says the Upanishads are the only works which first establish self-identity before you can serve. But we'll have this classical or this literary discussion later. We'll now open it out for questions and answers. Both these gentlemen are winning awards as we go along through the evening, not necessarily here. So we are pressed for time. I would urge you to raise your hand, not your voice. Speak into the microphone, it always helps. Tell us your name and ask a question. If you want to issue a statement, there is a slot available at 9:15 on the news hour.
But not with the news anchor we love.
But not with the anchor we love. Yes.
Ustad Sahab, it's a pleasure to be
As
here.
I said, always speak into the microphone. It always works.
My name is Rohit Lamba. Given the exponent of music you are and the legend you are, did you ever in this amazing journey ever hit a low? Did adversity ever strike you?
Well, what he's basically asking is, were you ever in depression or did you feel low? Have you seen his wife? She can light up an entire metropolis with her energy. But sir, you answer the question. He's saying, did you ever feel low or sad or anything?
This is very natural, you know. You are not happy all the time in your life. So it's part of life, you know. Sometimes you feel sad. Aman reminded me about his mother. So,
See,
but that is, you know, something which I have often told Amanayan, that wherever they perform, they must say that they are the children of Subbalakshmi and Amjad Ali Khan. Because every mother of a child is the first guru.
absolutely.
But no guru talks about their mothers. I haven't seen any guru talking to about her mother. So the respect, the honor the woman should get in our country, they haven't yet achieved. Yes, second question?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Shamim Padamsi, and I'm a writer. I write for children. So I would like to have some advice from you for children of the generation today. We talked a lot about what's going wrong. So what do you think suggests that children should be doing today?
Excellent.
I think these two gentlemen will contribute more to your question, but what I feel, that parents have very little time for their children. We were unemployed parents, so we were free, or I was traveling, but my wife, she gave so much time to them. So if the parents, if they have no time, they should not bring children to the world. They feel very happy the children are in the best of schools and colleges. But I don't think the teachers are worried about the art and culture or tradition. He's only connected with books, the subjects. Open your books, open your mathematics, open your English. So I think the time from the parents will work more. And why we have become so intolerant? My father often said, to achieve your goal of life, you have to be patient and tolerant. Sabr और बर्दाश्त, ये अपने आप में एक पूजा है. Adjustment of life itself is a prayer. So why are we becoming intolerant? Today human being has become a most ferocious animal, I think. Everybody is shouting. The degree of arrogance where has reached? तुझे नहीं पता मैं कौन हूँ? इतना जल्दी पता लग गया उसको. So this is the unfortunate part of our system. There's something wrong in our school teachings. I mean, they must create a class where children don't carry the books. Just share the value of love, compassion, kindness. No books should be there. Every school should create this kind of class where nobody will take the books in the... So I think it's the responsibility of the school, parents, everybody. And I hope every child, every young person achieve their goal of life. Sir, please.
Karan? Yes. On children?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure I'm qualified to answer it.
No,
as
I
yet.
am. I don't have any that I know of.
I think just a simple observation, and I think I should have an answer very soon to that question, hopefully. But I think the one thing that just strikes me is very simple. I just wish parents would encourage their children to listen and not watch. Because I think, that's the big problem. I think people of the younger generation have stopped listening. They're just so absorbed by watching. And I think if you just listen to the sounds of life or just sounds of advice, there's so much to absorb.
Ma'am, this is the most fascinating question that could be asked. in these times, and I don't mean to flatter you, I say it with all genuineness. I believe 3 or 4 things are happening and which are amiss. Khan rightly said about the examination system. India is a very unforgiving society for failure. The fact that we examine our children, the fact that we put them through this grill and the drill of examinations and textbooks and classes, you're creating discriminators based on textbook knowledge, not on an unfettered mind. The second, I think parenting is absent in many ways. I remember having hours of conversation, with my dad or with my mom, with my dad on particle physics. We would discuss Dinkar. We'd discuss Premchand. We'd discuss, at that time, Vijay Tendulkar was an upcoming theatre writer. Now, if you mention Tendulkar, people assume it's cricket. But it was the desire of parents to actually converse. And as Karan rightly said, it wasn't instructive. We are now becoming an instructive society. Any society that is instructive robs the freedom of the mind. And Tagore rightly said, where the mind is without fear and the head held high. He could have easily said other things. And finally, I adored my teachers. I was never scared of them. In our generation, we loved our teachers. The gratitude that I would have for my teachers is boundless. But we would talk about everything. Today, we've created a world of borders in actually a world where technology is making us borderless. Therein lies the paradox. People don't speak anymore. People don't have a conversation. We've lost the respect for contrarian opinion. It's very George Bush-like. Either you're with me or against me. So these things are missing. And it's up to people like you, who are so generous and sagacious with their time, to actually invest in creating a new order of human beings. It was famously said, the child is the father of man. We've got to look at our children differently, and others' children as well.
थैंक यू आई थिंक मैम ने जो सवाल पूछा वो बहुत खूबसूरत था, एंड आप तीनों का बहुत अच्छा जवाब मिला. करण, आपसे जानना चाहूँगी, अभी आपके घर में,
आपका नाम क्या है जी?
सॉरी, रूना फ्रॉम फर्स्ट पोस्ट. करण, अभी आपके घर में आई थिंक दुनिया की सबसे खूबसूरत किलकारियों वाला संगीत गूंज रहा है. आप मुझे बताइए किस तरीके से चाह रहे हैं कि आपके नई जनरेशन संगीत की तरफ बढ़े या रुझान रखे. बहुत जल्दी है, लेकिन एक पिता के लिए सपने देखना कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है.
वाह
जी, मेरी जो शुरुआत हुई थी संगीत, अगर आप जिक्र कर रहे हैं, तो एक्चुअली मेरा जो लगाव है टू हिंदी सिनेमा, इट्स लार्जली बिकॉज मेरी जो माँ थी वो हमेशा वो पुरानी हिंदी फिल्मों के गाने, या गज़ल हो जगजीत सिंह के या मोहम्मद रफ़ी साहब के, आशा भोसले जी के, लता जी के, किशोर साहब के गाने रोज़ गूंजते थे. तो and along with that, Elvis Presley. She was a huge fan. In fact, I think she married my father because he promised he would take her to the Elvis Presley concert for their honeymoon. I think that's one of the big reasons she married him. And he did live up to that promise, because he did take her and she fainted. So their honeymoon night was in an ER because she fainted in Las Vegas when she saw Elvis Presley, and he just came and sang Teddy Bear and she had fallen flat. But मेरा जो introduction to Hindi films, Hindi cinema was through Indian film music. तो आई थिंक मैं वही चाहूँगा, अगर आपने जैसे पूछा कि पहली चीज़ जब मैंने नर्सरी बनाई अपने बच्चों के लिए, तो आई मेड श्योर दैट आई हैव म्यूज़िक इन दैट रूम प्लेइंग ऑल द टाइम, बिकॉज आई वांट देम टू ग्रो अप टू द म्यूज़िक. एंड मैं ये नहीं चाहता कि वो, आज मुझे बहुत लोगों ने कहा कि कोल्ड प्ले का वर्जन है नर्सरी राइम्स का या कुछ ऐसा है. ऐसे नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं. दे शुड लर्न एंड लिव विद द म्यूज़िक दैट आई ग्रो अप ऑन, बिकॉज दे आर माई चिल्ड्रन and they have to love the music I love because they have to love me.
Superb.
Beautiful.
And I'll tell you an aside. There's a gentleman in London who I can't name because I've already been sued multiple times for defamation. But he actually got his interior designer to buy his books for his library. So, no, I can't. What the hell? I've already been... Yes, last question.
Second last, okay.
Last question.
Namaskar. I'm Jay Talwar. I'm from Calcutta. I started listening to classical music through the Beatles. I will be very frank about it. And I love classical music. I started playing the tabla. I was a neighbor of Velayat Khan Sahib's house, so yes, I used to go and practice with them. In fact, once I traveled with you in the car with Nishad Khan to the Sarkar family house where you had a concert. I want to ask you basically that what is happening now, because the younger people are not into classical music. Schools may, Spik McKay has done a lot. There are people, but the pulse, you know, like if you talk to younger people these days, they're not into classical music. So I wanted to ask you, what's the future? And also for Karan, for Hindi film music, for example, there was a lot of classical music played in films, and it was, some of the films did use it, even today, but it's rare. I mean, it's gone more Western, there's more, you know, it's not the kind of music that I would like, you know, so I'd like to ask you both about this.
To your question, I would request Aman and Ayan to answer this question. Mic there?
Yeah. The mic.
Asking why you had the question. Can you repeat the question?
No, I understood. Namaskar, sir. So, sorry, I'm not supposed to be answering this. But Ustad or Walid Sahab बैठे, I shouldn't be speaking out of turn. But I think the future is bright. There's so many young musicians today who are doing so well. And I think this generation is very blessed to get so much content easily available now on YouTube and so many other platforms. So they've got the research of all the great masters very easily available. They all are playing brilliantly, but now who connects and who doesn't, wo, I think Khuda ke haath mein, Bhagwan ke haath mein. So that I really can't comment on, but I think the quality of musicians, even today, like I said, because they're getting so much access to the journey of these great masters, I think they have all imbibed these qualities and they are playing brilliantly. And even today, so many, every time you open Bombay Times, how many ads you see of so many young musicians performing in Bombay, in Bengal, Maharashtra, all over. So I don't think there's anything to worry about. In time, I'm sure these young musicians will also connect with people. And I think the next question was for...
Sorry,
for
please.
Karan Bhai. Yeah, okay.
No, there's a lady there, and let that be. Nasir, do you really have to ask her? Please. You mean brief?
Yes, sorry. I am losing my sense of English. Adab, my name is Nasir Abdullah.
I know you. Yes.
You might remember me from
Yes.
about 50 years ago.
Yes.
But anyway, I have a question for Karan, but you may email me the answers. And the question is, why haven't you cast me yet? But that's another story. Okay, I actually wanted to ask you, sir, Khan Saab, that I'm an aspiring a musician, and I play on the flute a bit, and I also learned the harmonium in my own way, and was not. But I actually got it right years ago, but it's a strange question. Okay, you
And
must
it's
have
not
had...
brief by any stretch.
Okay.
Keep going, keep going.
Thank you. So I'm a bit confused.
Millie, I hope you're taking notes. You could write his biography by the end of his question.
Thank you, Suhel. So you must have encountered some, what you call blogs as you were actually practicing, etc. And so what did you do to be able to surmount them? What I'm actually looking for is a shortcut. Did your seniors advise you to wear a stone, or was there a mantra or anything to help you get over? That's it.
Got it. You can choose not to answer, or you can give a brief answer. Basically, neither did I understand, but from what I understood is, he's an aspiring musician who wants to know, should he use the path of superstition, which is wear a stone, right? Not get stoned, wear a stone, or should he have a mentor? Even I haven't, actually you can ignore it. Yes, ma'am, last question.
Hello.
Nasir is an old friend of mine, I can take liberties with him. If he hasn't yet got to the question, can you imagine how long he'll take to the flute?
But to learn
Yes,
music...
my dear.
But to learn music, stone doesn't work. Only hard work, sadhana, riyas. I don't know.
Yeah, and they are not the names of people. Yes.
Good evening. I'm Anjusha Saugale. I'm a social activist, and so it's always an honor to hear you. And believe me, it was a very soulful conversation. And coming from an old school, I really, really enjoyed listening to all of you. Now, coming from empowerment, like I'm a social activist, and so when I see you and ma'am, the love, the way you share your love and the respect towards each other, it's like we get a feeling, why don't we find someone so soulful or so respected?
Now,
you know?
1 minute here. He wants to learn music. You want a matrimonial
no,
column.
No, sir, you're
What
getting
hell
the
is going
question wrong. No, you're getting the question wrong. I'm coming to the question. I just wanted to appreciate their love because that's everybody notices and it's so beautiful. And everything beautiful has to be cherished and respected.
Yeah, I'm almost
now,
in tears.
coming back to it. Now, through music, how can you empower? How can you empower this? Where we are going towards, more towards feminism or against this. So how come with, I want to, Karan, Mr. Johar can answer this, even so you.
No, I have no idea about empowerment. We barely have electricity at home. Forget power, forget empowerment. Sir, Karan, this is as complicated as some of your films. Answer.
Trust me, my films are not complicated at all.
No, we're just having fun.
Are you single? Are you single?
Are you asking me that?
No, I'm not
No,
asking
obviously
you
he's
out.
just
I'm not
asked you
asking
that. No, 1 minute. What kind of
please
logic
don't-
are we
I just want
in
to know.
Bombay? Are you single?
I
Are
just
you
want to
asking
know,
me
is that
He
why
just
you're
asked
seeking?
you?
You're seeking love because you're single or because you feel the need to be empowered by a relationship?
No. I don't feel the need to be empowered by relationship. I just wanted to know that how you, because now we are, the men are against women. We don't believe in gender equality, but you are doing tit for tat.
Ma'am, we'll get this. This is going to be at least a 4-hour discussion. Right from discussing your status to discussing empowerment. I just want Subbalakshmi ji to make a comment. You must always end a program where the husband is the star with the wife having the last word. Because you must have a happy domestic environment.
Thank you, Suhel bhai, for giving me such an honor. Let me tell you that. You have always done that. He is one man who never shows his affection. But let me tell you, I know about this gentleman who can make anybody's life. But heart of heart, what he is, I had just discussed this with his brother and sister-in-law the other day. I think I know him very well. He is one of the most kindest, softest person. And ma'am, talking about your question, thank you very much for giving us such an honor to think how lovely we were. Only this morning when we were driving down from the airport, I had a little bit of, what shall I say, non-cooperation movement with my husband.
Super!
So I wish somebody, and because being a Gudi Parva and New Year, and I said, Sir Khan Sahab ko bhi mujhe bolna hai, pranam karna hai. मैंने कहा उनका number अलग है, phone कर लीजिए. Although we were in the same car. So he said, Bhabhi ji, now I know the mantra of your successful marriage. I said, this is the mantra, then I do not know what will be the future of a lot of mantras in our, life.
Super.
So this is what it is. I just say that, as wives, we like to, these are maestros on stage with their instruments, but we play the tanpura. Without us, they can't do anything. So
I love that.
Ma'am, my answer will be to you. Marry or don't marry, keep the man in your hand. Like taming of the show, they said that. They said from the first day you have to
I'm not making any comments on this. This is either way you're dead.
Yeah, you dominate the wife, you make it sure from the first day, do it other way around. You will be safe for rest of your life.
Okay,
all right,
I must thank Karan, I must thank Khan Saab, I must thank each one of you, must thank Showhouse Ashrafi from the President. Thank you for a splendid evening. I think the ladies summed it up. It was soulful because it was about conversation which was unfettered and had no prejudices. Nasir, all the best for your scintillating career ahead. We hope one day we see you pulling some strings which have some sanity in them. Until then, God bless each one of you, and God bless America.
Thank you, Suhel Seth. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Ustad Amjad Ali Khan, Master on Masters. On behalf of Penguin Random House India, I'd like to extend a big thank you to all of you for being here and being part of this evening. Our big gratitude goes out to our hospitality partner, Vivanta by Taj President. This event was produced by Show House. The book is available outside. Be sure to buy your copy and maybe you can get it signed by Ustad Ji as well. From me, Suchitra Pillai, it's thank you and good night till we meet again. I do hope you had an enjoyable evening because I know I did. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sir, left me. Left me.
What fun. What fun, yeah. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please do enjoy the hospitality provided to my right there. Get yourself a drink. Thank you. Yes, please. Thank you.